Going to be the first video of this little boot camp series that I'm going to do on the model that I've been trading. Um, it's going to be pretty simple. I'm not going to include every single little detail that I use in this model. That I'm going to kind of save that, but I'm going to give out the general, just the general overview of the model. So try to organize this. So the first, I'm just going to kind of list out the confluences that you must know, must understand, because you need to have a good understanding. So one is fair value gap. This is the most important confluence. Number two would be inverse fair. Okay, I'm just gonna do the abbreviations. Inverse fair value gap. Three, you need to know literally those are like the main two. I would say optional, help with discretion. So this is just to help understand like if it's a good setup. I would say SMT, which is also smart money technique. And then four, we could say CISD, which is change in the state of delivery, change of the state of delivery / order blocks, like just understanding that concept. So I recommend you understand all of these confluences before kind of trying to apply my model, because if you don't understand all four of these greatly, you honestly, like, as if you know 1 and 2, this model will work for you. But the thing is, the win rate won't be that high. Like, I've back tested this model very mechanically with zero discretion. Like, if I just see my entry model, I was back testing it. Like, I didn't pay attention to draws on liquidity, SMT, or anything. Literally just straight my model. And the win rate was still like 65%, which is crazy. Like, if you trained a robot to trade this way, like, with the specific time restraints and everything, it technically would work. So I'm going to kind of show the model with drawings, and then I'll show it, and then I'll kind of go over the rules, and then we'll apply it in the real market. And I'll split up these videos. So this video is just going to be like, here's the confluences, and then I'm going to show just like a bullish example and then a bearish example. So let's see, can I move this? No, I cannot. Okay, whatever. So these are the confluences. And I'm not going to go into each confluence. This is kind of like what I would want you guys to figure out on your own. But I eventually will make videos on this. So the first thing that you need to do with this model is it's honestly quite simple. So, and I'll kind of go over the rules and as I explain it, but you're just going to wait for 9:30 to open, right? So literally, let's say everything to the right of this is 9:30, right? You're not paying attention to price action, but before 9:30, whatever, like, you can kind of understand, like, okay, whatever, like, oh my god, this is horrible. Sorry, that is disgusting. That does not look like price action. Let me do that again. So let's say, this here's 9:30, here's price. Let's say we were downtrend, we have this low, slow. Okay, so obviously price, whatever it does, 9:30 opens, and we get the sweep. So, like, let's say we're here, right? Here's price action. Yeah, understanding what's going on here is important. Being like, yeah, like, okay, market opened, we swept the low, like, that's important. But this model, literally, like, you don't need any of this. I'm not joking. You can literally disregard all of that and honestly just focus on what happens past 9:30. So it's 9:30. All you're doing is waiting for a 5-minute fair value gap. So you're on the 5-minute, and you're not doing anything else. You're just on the 5-minute, okay? So let's say market opens here. We're consolidating. Market opens, just very manipulative. Nothing is really happening. And then let's say we see a sweep, right? This doesn't even matter. You could just not even understand what's going on. And then let's say we come up here, and let's say right here we create a 5-minute gap. All you're doing for my model is waiting for a 5-minute fair value gap to form. That's all you're doing. Step 1 is wait for a 5-minute or a 15-minute to form. That's all you're doing. I'm not paying attention to what swept what. I'm not paying attention to the higher time frame. Like, obviously that comes with discretion, and I'll go over that. But right now, for this simple model, you're waiting for a 5-minute fair value gap to form after 9:30. So that's very important. So this, let's say to the right of this is 9:30, and let's say there's like a 5-minute gap up here. You're not paying attention to that. You're only paying attention to gaps that form after 9:30. So that is the first condition, is you need to wait for a 5-minute or 15-minute fair value gap. Okay, let's say one forms here. Next step is waiting for a retracement, okay? So then let's say, here's price, 5-minute gap forms. We come down. We come into the 5-minute gap. That is the second, this is like the second step. We get a retrace in the 5-minute. Now we'll scale down. So literally when market opens at 9:30, you're not paying attention to anything over here. You're on the 5-minute, 9:30 opens, you wait for a gap to form. It doesn't form at 9:35. It doesn't form at 9:40. They usually form 9:45 and later. 5-minute gap forms, let's say this is 9:45. We come into it. All we're looking for is the highest time frame inversion out of this. That is all. So let's say we come down here and then we form a 2-minute FEG while retracing. All you're waiting for next, quite simply, is a 2-minute inversion. You get a 2-minute inversion right here. You enter in long. You're literally not paying attention to higher time frame or anything at all. You're entering long, and you're targeting just a 1-to-1. And using this model, your win rate is so high. So like that. This is the bare bones of the strategy. Wait, 9:30 opens. Wait for a 5-minute gap to form. Wait for a retrace. Highest time frame inversion out of this retracement leg right here. Highest time frame inversion out of this retracement leg. You get the inversion right here. You enter long. Boom. Just target a 1-to-1. And this will get you a 65% win rate. Just that alone. So with like no discretion, just simply waiting for a 5-minute gap to form, waiting for a retrace, and if you get an inversion out, that's 65% win rate. So a bearish example, whatever, before 9:30, we don't care at all. We don't care at all. Okay, we're here. Come, sweep a high, doesn't matter. And then we come here. We create a 5-minute gap. So we're on the 5-minute. Now we'll wait for a retracement. We get a retracement. Let's say on the way down, we created a 3-minute fair value gap. We wait for this to get inversed. And obviously if it doesn't inverse, then we don't take anything. Come here. Let's say we resweep this. 3-minute inversion right here. We would enter short. Stop would be at the previous swing low, and you would target a 1-to-1. Target a 1-to-1. And then you would assume price would flush there. This will give you a 65% win rate. So that is the most basic setup of the model. And I'll quickly just briefly show an example in the charts just so we can see it. Did we get one yesterday? Let's see. I'll literally just show a quick example, and then Monday there's a good example, and then I will go, and then on the next video I'll kind of explain it more, but I'll just show this example so you guys can kind of get a little taste of it. So this is super quick. 9:30, this is 9:30 right here. I'm on the 5-minute. I'm literally just waiting for a gap to form. Not paying attention to anything else. No gap is formed. Okay, we have a gap right here. 5-minute gap forms. We're inside the gap. I go to the 4-minute. Is there a fair value gap? No. If I go to 3-minute, is there a gap? No. Do I go to the 2-minute? Is there a gap? Yes, there's a 2-minute gap right here. So I'm going to get rid of the 5-minute. There's a 2-minute gap right here. What do I wait for? Inversion. Okay, we don't get it there. We get it there. I enter short. Stop at the high. Target a 1-to-1. Sorry, my tool is not showing this. Sorry, let me fix this real quick. Target a 1-to-1. Okay. And you see we flush. Right there, 1-to-1. Easy. That is a 65% win rate, taking the highest time frame inversion out of a 5-minute gap with zero discretion, zero high time frame bias. This is the bare bones of the strategy. I'll go over it one more time, and then I'm going to save the details for the later videos. This is just to kind of introduce it. 5-minute gap forms. Scale down. Wait for a retracement up. Wait for the high time frame inversion. Is that 2-minute? Enter short. That's all it is. All you're doing is waiting for 9:30. Waiting for 9:30. You just sit on your hands. So you don't pay attention to anything. You just pay attention after 9:30. 5-minute gap forms right here. You enter shorts. Boom. That is the model, simply as possible. And so like I said, you need to understand fair value gaps. You need to understand inverse fair value gaps. That is all you need to know. And then if you know those two things, this model will produce a 65% win rate for you. And if you learn about SMTs and order blocks, the win rate would become higher. But more videos on that to come. And I'll see you guys in the next one.